Diana Pasulka talked about, her and Gary Nolan talked about how they refer to some of these things as donations.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think of them as crashed vehicles because some of them are not crashed. They're completely intact. And
I think David Grush said that too, didn't he?
yeah, I believe he did.
Yeah.
And even, Lazar, when he was
Mhm.
talking about it, he
Yeah, the sports model.
Mhm.
Wasn't that fully intact too?
fully intact.
Yeah.
Yeah, fully intact and operational, and apparently they flew it around.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Something that doesn't really come up enough when Joe is telling Bob's story is that Bob actually saw several different types of UFOs.
I give everything nicknames there. The one I worked on was kind of sleek looking, and I gave it the name of the sport model. There was one that looked like a Jello mold. There was one that looked like a top hat.
So odd.
Well, that was one of the reasons, the whole story, how he got caught. It's a really crazy story. So he used to work at Los Alamos. He was a propulsions expert. Guy put a jet engine on the back of a Honda. He was a real freak.
Yeah.
He made a hydrogen Corvette in like the 1990s. He was a nutty dude.
Clearly an engineer.
Yes.
That part checks out.
So he gets this job on Area S4 and goes there. And it's all documented in Jeremy Corbell's excellent movie, Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. So he goes there and sees this thing, and it's got a American flag sticker on it. And, they basically say, tell us how it works. And he's like, oh, this is ours, because he sees it has a sticker on it. And then he realizes this is made out of some completely unknown alloy. There's no seams in it. It seems to be 3D printed. There's no controls inside of it. It's designed for something that's 3 feet tall. It's all very fucking weird.
Let's listen to the man himself explain this when he came on the show with Jeremy Corbell, episode 1315.
Everything is one color. It's like a dark pewter color, and there are no right angles anywhere. It's as if somebody took, I've said this before, somebody took a model and fashioned it out of wax and then heated it just for a short time so everything melted. Everything looks like it's fused together. Everything has a radius of curvature where two items meet. It's a really weird looking thing. There was almost nothing other than a small foldable hatchway that looked recognizable.
So you get inside this thing, and it's designed for something that's much smaller than a human being.
Yeah, you can't really stand up till you get to the very center of it.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
And what do you think this was designed for?
I'd say something close to half my height.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts?
So he's working on this thing, not making much headway at all. They understood that there was an element 115, that was not even on the periodic table. Eventually found to actually be a thing by the Large Hadron Collider. But even then, they only measured it for a millisecond, right? So then he's saying that they have this stable version of this element, and you bombard it with radiation, and it creates this sort of gravity drive. He's working on this thing, and it's all top secret, so he cannot tell his wife. So they're calling him up at 10 o'clock, like, hey, get to the airport. We need you. And so he would have to fly out at random times, fly out to S4, and his wife was like, this motherfucker's having an affair. Well, I'm going to have an affair too. So she starts fucking her flight attendant, or a flight instructor. I think that's what it was.
This is true. Here is Bob Lazar telling it in his own words.
You would get these phone calls. You would have to go to the airport at 11 p.m., and your wife started thinking that you were having an affair.
Yeah, apparently so. You have to have a stable home life, too. Well, she started having an affair with a flight instructor. Now, they were monitoring this on the phone, and they knew it, and I didn't. So they stopped me coming in, and their attitude at the time was, we need to see how this is going to play out and if Lazar is going to get a little weird or anything. So
it's kind of interesting that a scenario that probably plays out with married people all over the world can make its way into such a top secret program. So crazy.
When you have that kind of clearance, they are monitoring everything. They're monitoring all your phone calls. So they've realized that his wife is having an affair, and they think that he will be emotionally unstable, and it's too dangerous to have him working on this insanely top secret information if he's not stable. So they tell him, we're going to at least temporarily relieve you of your duties. So he's freaked out, and he tells his friends, like, hey, this is this is what they're doing there.
Yeah.
They have these things, and they fly them every Wednesday. I'm going to take you guys. There's an area we can go watch. So he takes his friends out there on 2 separate occasions, I believe. They get caught. He gets arrested. They release him, and he realizes, like, I'm kind of fucked. They might kill me. I'm going to have to go public with this. Contacts George Knapp.
I did see that.
Then the whole thing is history.
Yeah.
Something interesting about that original interview was Bob Lazar passed multiple lie detector tests arranged by George Knapp, with the examiner concluding he was truthful. Knapp also uncovered evidence of Lazar's prior work at Los Alamos National Laboratory, despite official statements saying he never worked there.
Yeah, no, that's wild, man. And I think, and it's still happening. You know, there's still these whistleblowers.
He says they used to fly them, and you could go watch them fly these things. And they were moving in these really weird ways across the sky that you cannot do with conventional aircraft, that they only sort of understood how to, like, pick it up and put it down. They didn't understand how to, like, really
That was
move
out
it
at
around.
Groom Lake, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, I've obviously been into this for a long time. I remember as a kid seeing videos of people going out, and then they eventually closed it down. You couldn't get to that spot, but there was like a
That was
hillside
during the
where you could
Obama
go up.
administration. During the
Yeah.
Obama administration, they actually had to admit that Area 51 was real, because before that, no one even knew it was real. I mean, it was always just a joke, like Area 51. It was like for fun. But then they said, no, it is real, and we need to expand the forbidden boundary.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Obama was the first president in American history to acknowledge Area 51. Let's watch it.
Now, when you first become president, one of the questions that people ask you is, what's really going on at Area 51? When I wanted to know, I called Shirley MacLaine. I think I just became the first president to ever publicly mention Area 51. How's that, Shirley? So...
Maybe we need to show this to Trump so we can get his ego going and tell us some real stuff.
And isn't that when people were gonna like bum rush it too? Is that when that happened?
That was during COVID.
Oh, okay.
During COVID, there was a bunch of dorks that were like, we're going to
Yeah.
crash Area 51.
remember
That's a good way to die, kids.
Exactly.
They'll fucking kill you.
Hey,
'Cause
natural selection.
Yeah,
man.
they're working on a lot of stuff out there, and some of it is weapons.
Right.
They can't have you
And,
internet dorks from Reddit just running out into Area 51.
Yeah, I think they eventually realized that because I don't think they went out there, but that
Yeah.
could have been bad.
I think it was all bullshit. They weren't going to.
Yeah,
What are
it
you going to
it
do?
was
How are you going to get out
clickbait.
there? Yeah.
Engagement farming.
People actually did go out there. Only about 100 to 150 people showed up near the Area 51 gates. A handful were arrested for minor trespassing. The hype shifted to small festivals dubbed Alien Stock in Rachel, Nevada, which was a chaotic but small party with music and camping, and another in nearby Hiko.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of crazy shit that's been going on. It's been going on for a while. Jamie and I were talking beforehand about the stovepiping too, and all the different
Stovepiping?
the different ways that they compartmentalize what they're doing, and they talked about it in Age of Disclosure too. That's a big problem because certain people are working on these parts of the craft to reverse engineer them to understand them, but they don't have the whole picture. They're
Lazar
not
was talking
working
about
on the
that
whole
from the
craft.
1980s.
Yeah.
In 1989, he said the people that are working on metallurgy were not in contact with the people that are working on propulsion, and you weren't. He's like, science cannot operate like that.
Yeah, no, it can't because you need to know what's going on beyond just this little part that
Right.
you're working on.
And if you have a bunch of people that are sharing information, you get a much more comprehensive understanding of what this thing is.
Yeah, we all benefit from communication.
Right, because there could be something involved in the actual structure of it that
Yeah.
lends to its ability to do something. It might not be simply just structure. It might be structure with some sort of an ability.
It only seems right to hear the words from Bob himself. Let's watch it.
We work on the buddy system, so I can only exchange ideas and talk to Barry. Now, this really interferes with science because science is based on free discussion. And ideally, you get a bunch of guys together, exchange ideas, work on problems, and that's how things move forward. But they're so over the top concerned about security, they split everything off and everybody becomes stagnant. It just destroys any of the progress you can make, or at least makes it go so slow. I think they wind up shooting themselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't see the forest through the trees in these situations, and it's unfortunate. And what the argument they made in this doco is that we're putting ourselves at a disadvantage because other countries have probably retrieved these things too, and they might be working on it, yes, in secrecy. But if people are working together,
Right.
and not stovepiping this thing
Right.
ad infinitum, then they might be able to actually make more progress faster than us. So part of the disclosure push is to be like, yeah, these things are real. We have them. Let's get our best scientists together to work on this holistically instead of compartmentalizing it.
Herbert Walker was the guy that Hal Puthoff and a bunch of these scientists, he brought them together and said, we have recovered a crashed UFO more than one occasion, and we have a back engineering program, and we're considering disclosure to the American people. I want you to list the positives, the positive impact of society, and the negatives.
Yeah.
And they did it with quite a few different scientists, and they all had more negatives than positive.
If they came out with this information,
Exactly.
to share this information, what would be the
Exactly.
effect on society?
Yes.
More
And
negatives than positive.
More negatives than positives.
Because?
Disruption of religion,
Okay.
government,
How does
economy.
that disrupt religion?
Well, I mean, it
I
depends on your
understand how it
religion.
does. I just don't.
Depends on your religion, and depends on where these things are from and what is happening. What do we
In
know?
the Bible, Ezekiel has golden chariots from the sky.
Exactly. Yeah, and a wheel within a wheel. Yeah, the Ezekiel stuff sounds like a UFO encounter. And it's not the only version of that in ancient texts. In the ancient Hindu texts, they have vimanas, these things that are flying through the sky. Like, what are those things? In the
Yeah.
Rig Veda, even in the Bhagavad Gita, there's all these depictions of these things that sound like you're talking about a spaceship or at the very least some kind of technology. Like this thing about the Nephilim, like that the gods mated with women and created men who are monstrous. Boy, doesn't that sound like aliens came down and genetically manipulated primates and created human beings? That's a version of it that you could imply from the text. It's all really weird stuff, man. Like really weird. If you found out that was all true, it would probably change everything about society. And this is what Herbert Walker and those guys decided after. So Hal Puthoff was explaining it to me on the podcast, like how they put a numerical value to each thing. I'm like, like we were that close?
Right.
Like imagine if that happened. This is 1990, right?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but these kind of really weird things, as you put them, they excite you more than they give you fear. Would that be fair?
Yeah. I mean,
you seem excited. You get excited about different possibilities.
yes.
I mean, I have people go, oh, man, no, Rogan loves these conspiracy theories. Like, I don't see him liking the conspiracy theories. I see him always being interested in an alternate way something went down and being interested and excited about that, but not going, no, never disengaging from it and going, no way, no, because I believe how it was and what I read, and that's how it is. That's not where you're moving from.
No, it's never a denial of information and facts. And it's also a recognition that oftentimes a large swath of society just goes with a narrative without having any real understanding of what the actual facts behind it are. And then there's that term, this pejorative term, conspiracy theory. The problem with that, calling someone a conspiracy theorist, is conspiracies are real. Like, there's a lot of evidence. And if you want to sit down, I could fucking show you a ton of them. And so anybody who says, like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, I'm like, okay, let's talk about conspiracies. Like, do you think that any of them exist? Do you think that people conspire? Is it like it's a natural part of human behavior that's been documented throughout history, even governments? I mean, literally the thing that got us into the Vietnam War was a conspiracy. It was fake. The Gulf of Tonkin, it was a false flag operation. It never took place at all. They lied to the American people. That's a conspiracy. Like, that's just one conspiracy that turns out to be true. There's a lot of them. The problem is people don't want to look like a conspiracy theorist. They've done such a good job of making it a goofy term that you don't ever want attached to you. It can cause damage to your reputation.
Yeah.
If you're in a job where people have to take you seriously, fortunately I'm not, but if you're in a job where people have to take you seriously, you don't want to say anything weird like, hey, I think aliens are real. Like, people think you're a kook, and then they discount your opinion on everything.
Yeah.
But if you just know the actual facts, like people that don't think there's anything, that aliens are real, there's no way, we're alone, we've never been contacted.
Why not?
Gary Nolan, the guy who was on here yesterday that was talking about cancer research, he was also telling us about a piece of wreckage they found from a craft. Was it 1950 that they found it? The first one, the silica one. So they have direct chain of possession of this evidence from, I believe it was 1950, and it was almost pure silica, and the magnesium ratios were so off that he said that this magnesium had to have been, it had to have been sourced from a place that experienced a neutron bomb every 2 minutes for 900 years. That's how off the isotopes were to magnesium that we find here on Earth. He's like, I'm not saying it's impossible for someone to ever do that, but I'm saying this is from 1950. Like, this is a real piece of what they're saying is a wreckage of a craft. And it has a material composition that is impossible for a normal person to create in 1950. So what the fuck is this?
Right.
And you say that to people, and they're like, oh. So Gary Nolan, who's a professor at Stanford, he's a professor in the what is his forensics? Is that what his he does cancer research, but what is his actual title? Stanford School of Medicine professor. Anyway, rock solid credentials, published. And people brought him this material, and they said, would you analyze this? Because you know all these different scientists. And endowed chair, Department of Pathology, Stanford School of Medicine. So when a guy like that is saying, no, this is a composition of this piece of wreckage that you can't make here.
Right.
They found a type of alloy that doesn't exist on Earth, and it has, on an atomic level, layers upon layers of whatever this alloy is. He's like, this cost billions of dollars to create, and they found it in 1970. Like, in 1970, no one had this. It's not possible to make. Like, maybe you can make it today, but we don't have the equipment to make it today. You could conceive how someone with enough resources could have that money today to do something like that, but it would be an enormous undertaking.
Yeah.
And this is a piece of craft that someone found from 1976. So when a guy like that is telling you, like, I'm not saying what it is. I'm not saying where it's from, but I'm saying this is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't add up to what we could practically do.
So when someone says conspiracies, like, I believe in conspiracies because they're real.
Right.
And because I don't have to worry about being taken seriously. And most people do. Most people don't want to be a fool. You don't want to be a silly person. But the question is, like, why would we assume that it's a biological entity? It doesn't have any windows. It's this round thing that looks like a Tic Tac. If there is some sort of advanced propulsion system, some revolutionary way of moving through space and time that the U.S. government has developed, in some Black Ops program, that seems very likely impossible. That seems more likely than aliens visiting us. But there's more than one incident. And there's a lot of these things. And the possibility of alien life in the universe, although we've never experienced it, seems rational. It seems very rational. And if you were going to study an emerging civilization that is both primitive and warlike and yet insanely technologically advanced to the point where they have nuclear weapons, they can transmit video through the sky, they have propaganda, they have tracking of their citizens, like, that's us. That's us right now. And while we are these territorial, primal beings with fucking nuclear weapons, this would be a good time to start exposing yourself.
Yes.
And to stop this nonsense.
Insanity.
Yeah. And look, the reason why we named the rooms at our club Fat Man and Little Boy is because in UFO lore, that's when they started showing up. After the detonation of the atomic bombs in Japan, that's when the UFO sightings ramped up.
And they ramped up mostly in the U.S., right?
Yes.
So that's interesting because the U.S. was the nuclear power. So.
And we were the one who was doing a lot of fucking testing.
Yeah.
And also we have all these military bases. Who the fuck has more military bases than us?
No one.
Who has more nuclear weapons pointed at other people than us? We have them all over the place. And there's all these multiple sightings and eyewitness accounts of, like, very credible people who say these things have hovered over military bases.
It'd be pretty cool if these aliens were benevolent overlords. And they were like, hey, my children.
Yeah. Or maybe even so advanced intellectually that the concept of an overlord is preposterous. And they're just biological management. There's just the gardeners tending to make sure the weeds don't get out of hand and just like let this process continue to play itself out, because this process of technological innovation it's the everything that humans do.
Yeah.
It's what we do at the pinnacle of our creation is we make better technology.
Well, I always wonder about fractals and whether or not, like, this idea of this being a simulation, this being, like we are kind of replicating, we are creating machines and doing our best to create them in our own image, right?
Yes.
And that's interesting. That's because the mythologies that we subscribe to are the idea that this God that we pray to made us in his image. Right. And we're doing the same thing now with robots and computers. And that's an interesting thing that we seem to have this sort of paradigm, this idea that that's the scaffolding for the way we think, right? And to what end? And why are we doing that?
Maybe it's the
and has
creation
it
of a
already
new
happened?
life form.
But has it already happened? Are we the result of that impulse that happened a long time ago?
I think we
don't
are
know.
the shit-throwing chimps that are going to become the nuclear physicists.
That's what
we are the shit-throwing chimps from 2001 that
Yeah.
become Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think this thing that we become is integrated with technology. It's probably some sort of a hybrid. It's some sort of a cyborg.
That's wild.
Because I think we're already like on the verge of merging. All this talk of like Neuralink and all these various things. We watched this video the other day of this guy who was Googling questions and getting answers in his head with his headpiece on. Have you seen that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Incredible, right? So how long before that is like that's Pong?
I know, but that's
and then you have the Unreal 4 engine in 2023 that looks like a movie.
No.
Like how long before that technology gets to the point where it's just supremely advanced, and we literally are like gods.
But my question really is also the idea that that's engineering, right? That's a tool.
It's innovation.
But there's engineering. So there are two aspects to it. One is getting information faster and stuff, which doesn't get you closer to truth, but it gets you information faster. There are endless facts. But more importantly, I always wonder, like, why we are given this. I really believe that human potential is pretty much infinite. Whatever you can imagine and beyond, we can do. And we are doing. We seem to be doing this. Like, think about how crazy that is. I can wear a headset and I can do things with my mind and look up the answer.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's magic. It's crazier than magic. But there's a way to measure that and quantify that and replicate that. So it's not magic. I can do it, and I can tell you exactly how I get there, which is even crazier. So what is that leading us to? It is nudging us closer. It's like I think it's very significant that we're getting a better understanding of what it's like to be someone else. Yeah. We are. It's really hard to say that a Yanomamo Indian or whoever it might be thinks about things differently than I do when I know so much about how all these human beings, like someone in Iran, someone in Jordan, laughs and cries and bleeds at the same thing I do. It's being prejudiced based on what that person looks like over there is becoming harder and harder to justify. Where it was before we knew about that, we were like, well, those people over there are quote unquote savages, or they're this, that, and the other thing. And I do think that we are getting a better understanding of what it's like to be each other and being nudged in the same direction. I'm not saying we don't become tribal.
I think that's true too.
But why? And it's interesting to think about where that's leading us to what understanding. And then when we have that understanding, what are we going to do about that?
Right. And are we going to pull it together? And are the aliens here to make sure that we don't fuck it up?
Yeah.
That's the beautiful idea. The terrible idea is that it's all us. And then it's all a big ruse, and it's all just drones that we're doing because we don't want China and Russia to know about it. But we have insane propulsion systems that operate on gravity. And
yeah. I think it is us.
But
I hate to tell you.
It seems like both. It seems like us, and it also seems like there's some shit that we just don't understand. And I don't know if those people are telling the truth. Because if the people that are telling the truth that there's biological entities, and this is what Jackie Gleason said that Nixon told him, and Nixon took him they were drinking. You know that famous story?
No.
Who knows if it's true? It's a legend. But the legend is that Jackie Gleason and Nixon were drinking. And that Nixon said, you want to see some fucking aliens? And they get on Air Force One, and they fly to some Air Force base,
and they go to a place where they have a crashed UFO and they have biological beings that are in freezers. And Jackie Gleason sees this. And Jackie Gleason, after that, has a house built in upstate New York that looks like a UFO. He became obsessed with UFOs after that. There was a house, it was actually for sale at one point in time. Yeah, so he has this house that he had shaped like a UFO. And this is like, who knows if this is a true story?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, it was kind of sort of disputed. His ex-wife told the story or something like that. I forget.
I think that kind of thing is actually impossible to keep secret.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No, I don't
you
think so at all.
generational, like
Yeah.
generations of government bureaucrats can keep something a secret?
Sure,
I don't
they
think so.
tell the people at the very highest level know about it. It's very few people. It's all very compartmentalized.
they're always-
they monitor everyone's phone calls, everyone's emails, everything everyone does.
Impossible.
At a top secret clearance level,
No way. Impossible.
I don't think you're right.
Totally
You're
impossible.
definitely not right.
I think it's impossible.
Listen, man, they can keep secrets.
When?
People
Which
at high
ones?
levels of military can keep secrets.
Yeah, but they're
People
always
that-
rotating out. They're retiring. They're dying.
Yeah, and they probably wind up fucking Hillary Clinton and a lot of those dudes.
Hey, listen, dude. This is not the.
That's a
this is not
verb.
Conspiracy Social Club. This
Might
is
as
the
well
Joe
be.
Rogan experience.
I am not willing to relinquish the idea that they could keep that secret.
Well, that's because it's
I think
fun to
it's-
believe in.
Yeah, but it's not just fun to believe in. It is possible. It's a physically possible thing to do, especially if you have the right people and they're indoctrinated in the right way with top secret clearance. And by the way, it's not like these people don't tell their friends. And it's not like there's a bunch of stories floating around, because there
Right.
are. There's a shitload of stories
That's what I'm
floating
saying.
around.
But why would you like? I would never keep that a secret. I'd be like,
Well,
hey,
here's-
you got
but here's
fucking
the thing.
aliens.
Here's the thing. When you have senators and congressmen who find out about this, and they find out that military contractors are the ones who have access to this stuff, because the back engineering program has to involve someone who has the capability of recreating this. So who would that be? That would be the people that make jets. If you got someone who's making you a fucking a stealth bomber, and you have a crashed UFO, those are the people that you want discussing like what kind of things you've recovered from a fucking alien crash, and can this be replicated?
No, here's the problem with your
I mean,
whole
don't
theory.
you know me, motherfucker? Because you
Listen,
don't
man,
know. You might be
This
wrong.
is your wrong. No,
No,
this is
don't say you're wrong,
this is the
because you don't
problem.
know that
This
I'm
is the
wrong.
problem with your theory. Ready?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, and I love that you want to believe in this, and so do I. But here's the problem.
Okay.
There's no law. There's no written law that says I'm not allowed to talk about aliens. And I mean at the level, the top levels of clearance, like the most secret level. There is no world where if I'm a government official and I take a bunch of pictures and I come before Congress and I go, here's my evidence, I'm blowing the whistle, there are real aliens.
You don't think they would go after you for
I'd never go to jail.
violating your top secret clearance?
No, because it's not violating my top secret clearance.
But it would
because,
be.
Nope.
I don't
Because
think you're
I'd
right.
never go to jail for that. Because I'd be like, you're going to put me in jail for exposing what everybody wants to know? The whole world would be like, holy shit, you guys kept
But
this a
that's
secret?
assuming that you have access to that material to extract
There are enough
it
people who
from
would.
wherever maybe not. Maybe those are the kind of people that wouldn't do that, Brian.
Listen,
You
my
fucking
friend.
communist. I don't like the way you think.
I'm shredding your UFO
No,
theories.
you're not.
Listen,
You think you are, but
you-
you're just using these establishment
you're allowed to
talking
talk
points.
about
You
UFOs and
sound
you
like
never
your
get in
dad.
trouble.
You sound like your dad.
Come on, man. First tell
you're
me
a
Andrew
CIA
Schultz will beat me up.
stooge. You're a CIA
I'll call my dad
stooge,
right now.
And you're in here spreading propaganda to the faithful listeners
Listen to
of
me.
this.
Listen to me. There are no aliens.